Did you bring some fish?
That is quite logical, Captain.
Where shall I strike?
Test your might. Test your might.
Get it out! Get it out!
Test your might. Test your might.
Your mother was a murderer! You smell like a leper. You are not prepared.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Geek Card, show 137. I am, of course, a rather busy Razerbug. With me is the wonderful Robbie Glow.
Hello.
And unfortunately, it's that time again when I have to let you know this will be a short-form show because life's just kicking our ass.
You know, we say that, and then it still ends up being 45 minutes anyway.
That's true. No, that is true. But no, my work has been keeping me suitably busy, and therefore we've had to delay recording, and then we've had to run things short again. So
I
my
think
apologies,
it's safe to assume that if we have a show, it's more likely to be a shorter show than it is a long show these days.
These days it is, yes. But we'll do our best to rectify that on one of these days, I'm sure. So, Robbie, how was your geeky week?
It's been sufficiently geeky. We got the first boss down in the new raid in WoW.
I know, that was quite surprising. First day at it, and first boss down.
First day it was open on patch day. So, we went really well there, I think. I think we spent the whole night doing that one boss, and then, everything clicked all of a sudden, and I think it was the sixth go?
It's this patch, but also this whole raid tier is very much a if you get any of the mechanics even slightly wrong, it's insta-kill. So as soon as the things click and everyone's getting all the mechanics, everything just goes through fine. And it always takes us by surprise.
Yeah, I was really surprised when we had it. We were getting the hang of it. I think third wipe we got down to about 17%. And then on the fourth one, we just didn't even get past 70 because something happened and everyone was like dropping like flies all of a sudden. But I mean, the raid's pretty good. I'm liking the raid and the content so far for that. But I'm in the storyline for Naja. I'm currently stuck behind a time gate because to continue the bit of the story I'm on, you have like a daily follower you can pick, and they give you 3 quests.
Yeah, I'm on that one as well.
And you only get the 3, and they only give you around 100 experience for that follower, the like combat experience for them. And I'm currently time locked behind getting 3,000 between all 3.
Yeah.
And of course, there's only 3. It takes 10 days if you do it each day, but of course I've missed days here and there, so I'm only at about 2/3 of the way.
Yeah, I'm also on the same one. I think I've got 2 of them to level 3, and I'm on the 3rd one.
Yeah, but like even though I leveled one of them to level 3, it didn't count because I didn't have the quest yet. So because of the way the story goes, and it's sort of like the lead up to the raid, and it's the first bit of that, and it didn't count the experience I already had, so I had to do it 10 days from that point. So it's I hope they change that, or at least as we go down the weeks, they sort of give more experience for them as we go. But we had yesterday. I know you and your partner had tabletop RPG stuff.
We did. We were playing Invisible Sun again.
Yeah, and we had a go at the Heroic Warfront yesterday.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Very
We
nice.
actually got through it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Is that still the 2 existing ones, or is it?
Yeah, it is the existing ones. They've only got the Arathi one on Heroic at the minute, and it's possible to lose. So we were quite kind of surprised that, well, we got through it the first time we did it, But also the fact that like everything is scaled to such a point that it's like, oh, this could actually one-shot us all.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. We got some people that either haven't played with us before on the Discord, or people that we've played with previously in previous expansions that have come back, and we had a variety of people that are like various eye levels and stuff. And yeah, it was good to have 10 people have a go at that. So,
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's the same sort of objectives that you have in the Arathi one, but instead of 40 people, it's just 10 of you.
Well, you have to sign up as a raid.
Right.
So we had a raid of 10 people, and then it paired us with another raid group. So it made it 20.
Oh, I see. Right.
If you see what I mean. So I think you can get up to 25 for those.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you have to have... I'm not sure what the minimum amount is, but you can't do it as a pure 10-man. So it is, a proper group of people. And we had a good go at that. And what was the other thing I did in WoW? Oh, yeah, started doing keystones again. And obviously, because it's a new season, it means that lower numbers are actually harder. So, So we did a 6 siege, which is equivalent to about an 8 or a 9.
And that's the equivalent of about a 11 or a 12 in Legion. So
yeah, so it's pretty tough. But the reward was worth it because the weekly chest gave me a 430.
Oh, nice.
So it's worth doing what we would consider now lower keys, but they give you such a big boost in reward. And even world quests have given me a reward when they've procced. So it's pretty good going for getting gear at the minute. I mean, this expansion's never been difficult to gear, has it really?
No, I mean it's there's been times when you there's been sort of levels where you feel like you're stuck and just getting the same level gear over and over again, but you do get past them. There's enough ways to get gear in this expansion that you can find your way past things quite easily.
You've been focusing this patch so far on your paladin, haven't you? So you've been
it's doing the storyline. Yeah, I've been doing it as my paladin, but
and healing in the raid when we've only had Raven, myself, and you.
Yeah, but I've got I've still got my my mage alt geared to a similar level to my pally. So yeah, it's not too bad. Although having said that, I think one of them just got to 410. So one of them's just started to pull ahead of the other. I can't remember which one is which now.
Well, because you use your mage for mythic dungeoning, don't you? More than
and I also use it in raids if there's a surplus of healers. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what you'll have to do tonight, but I mean,
no, I'll just whatever I'm needed to do. It's fine as long as it's not tank. I don't fancy tanking that fight at all.
No, there were some weird mechanics in that first fight. Like, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed it with the whole split the raid in half and make sure you stand in the right place. I mean,
we've got two very good tanks, but even then they were getting caught out by things just because A, obviously it was brand new, but B, it was a real step up in terms of what they're expecting tanks to do.
Especially with things like stacking abilities.
Yeah.
Where you just look at your bar and all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I've got 10 stacks of this thing. I better go and stand in a puddle of the bad stuff.
Which, yeah, that makes lots of sense, doesn't it? But there we go.
Yes. Can you have just before we move on? Can you have your screaming moment about your Corsair business?
Oh God, yeah. Well, so I finally having sort of messed around with links that didn't work because their new Apache server was up the Swanee. They finally got a link out to me, which I tried to order. So I'm basically paying for the replacement RAM until I send my faulty one back, and then they give me the money back just to be sure that people aren't scamming them for free RAM. So I'm trying to make this payment. I make it twice, and my bank blocks it twice. So I then came to make it a third time after my bank had phoned me and said, "Oh, we'll let it through now," and the link had expired.
Oh, God's sake!
So I put it through today, just before we went on air, with my debit card rather than my credit card, And although it sent me a text message to confirm it was me, I was able to use the code to confirm it. So that went through. It said your order has been placed. And I was like, yay! And I added in the show notes, RAM finally sorted. And then I checked my email and it said, we've processed your order, but we need to check with the bank that your address is the same one that you've given us, so that we know this isn't fraudulent. So it will take another 2 days to do that. I was like,
what?
Sake.
What
So, yes,
is going on?
This whole process has been an absolute fustercluck.
And it also means that you've had to miss out on keystone runs because we can't risk losing the key with disconnects.
Yeah, exactly. So it's and I haven't been able to do. I'm usually getting maybe like 2 or 3 days of Naja dailies because other times the computer's just not playing ball.
Yeah, and especially with the we're British, we have to bring up the weather, but with in your kind of setup, you're very susceptible to the heat in your room, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean we've not been as bad recently because we have managed to tweak the fans on my partner's machine so that it is actually running much cooler.
There was a worry there for a while.
There was a bit of a confusion there, but that's now hopefully sorted. But yes, we will soon, however, be moving into a brand new spangly house. So
has that got to the point that you have dates now?
Not quite. It's got to about the 90% mark, as in
damn.
all parties have signed now. So
I bet you can't wait now. Just to be done with it all.
Yeah, I think it's definitely feeling like it's time. So
yeah.
There we go. That'll be good. The only other thing I've been doing this week is playing Invisible Sun, and we've been leveling up bits. So it doesn't work like D&D where your character goes up a level and you get a few bits of goodies. You can sort of choose parts of your character to level up.
Okay.
So that you have your forte and your heart and your order and all that sort of thing. And they all level up in different ways and cost different resources. So that's been quite fun. We've ended up with some quite powerful characters. Because you take more than like the sessions aren't concurrent in real time, so there's usually between a week and a month between sessions in game time. So we just had one that was like a month after the previous session, and that meant that we had a lot of time to level up and do things. So we leveled up, and then we went exploring some rare but juicy plot points that we stumbled upon. And then we got attacked by a house full of furniture, which came to life.
As you do.
But then my character dropped a couple of... So you get, as well as like spells and things like that you learn, at any point in time, any sort of new day or new week or whatever, you can learn a certain amount of what's called ephemera, and they're just like magical... They're like one-shot magic spells that just pop into your head. And this is kind of the thing that sets you apart from the other people that live in this world is that you have the ability to do this. And yeah, I got very lucky and I got like a level 7. Bear in mind my character's like level 2. I got a level 7 spell, and you don't need to cast. It's one shot, fire and forget, but it doesn't cost you anything. So I just dropped this level 7 spell and just basically leveled a city block.
Wow.
So it was like I level up and then we level some city.
It's sort of one of those things where it's so by the sounds of it, you could have really unbalanced characters that somehow work.
Yeah, you have a sort of element of luck, but in all things in the game is you can always like learn and manipulate it. Like so, we as a group on one of our first quests, which was not planned by the GM or anything, but he built it around what we wanted to do, was to go off and research and discover the secret of how to turn ephemera into fixed spells. So there's all these options and ways of changing the game and driving them based on your character's story arcs and that sort of thing. So it really is quite fascinating. The further we go in it, the more more familiar, the more we sort of understand the system, and the more we're learning to enjoy it. So.
What was the name of the other system you had to go at?
Burning Wheel.
Yeah. So out of the two, which one would you recommend?
Oh God, Invisible Sun definitely.
Okay.
I mean, Invisible Sun is almost as involved as Burning Wheel, but it's involved in a way that you can understand and you can work with, instead of being involved in a way that you need an accounting degree to play.
Does it feel like it's really streamlined?
No. It is for what it does, but it needs a lot of books and pre-printed cards and things like that. Which I know that was kind of the point, because it was a Kickstarter thing. The guy wanted to make this big extravaganza, but at the same time, it also feels like you couldn't just put down a piece of graph paper and grab some dice and play. Right. So, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so there we are. So we're actually talking about playing the Tomb of the Mad Mage after this, back to D&D. So we'll either be doing that or we'll be doing some not Eberron. I can't remember what it's called. The other one, the Mad Max version of Dungeons and Dragons.
The Fury Road, yes.
Something similar. So we started a campaign of that in 4th edition. I think we're also talking about converting it to 5th edition now. So
cool.
That's the roleplay goodness. So we got a couple of topics this week, and they're all sciencey related.
Not on purpose. It just
not on
just
purpose.
So happened.
No, just so happened to be what was happening. The first one is a very British thing because it's all talking about the good old fashioned pound.
It is.
Robbie, what's going on here?
So we talked on the show last year that there was a debate about who was going to appear on the £50 note when it was redone to the new waterproof, can't be teared, whatever the material is. Do you remember?
We did.
And there was a lot of people that had suggested one Lady Thatcher. Thankfully, it's not her. It is in fact Alan Turing, the World War II codebreaker, is going to be the face of the £50 note,
which is fantastic. It's one of my friends said it was very fitting because, like the £50 note, it's extremely valuable. The work Turing did is extremely valuable, but you hardly ever see it.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. And also, it was kind of timed at a really interesting point because it's been the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riot, which means it's also been the 50th anniversary of Pride. And Alan Turing was, famously treated awfully by the British government because he was a gay man. And I think instead of having to serve a prison term for being gay, he was chemically castrated instead. So
yes, which led to him taking his own life.
Which, as someone as valuable as Alan Turing is and was and still is in a lot of ways, it seemed a bit fitting, really, didn't it? This year that it was, we're moving and acknowledging mistakes from the past with how we treat people, and also recognizing what they did.
Yes, you could say it's the least they could do.
Yes. Have you had a quick glance at the design?
I have. Did you pass the Turing test, as the people are calling it?
I have not, unfortunately.
So the binary code that can be seen on the design running along the ribbon is in fact binary for the date, month, and year of his birth.
I knew it was a date because of how the binary's formatted.
Yes,
but I couldn't quite decipher what the numbers were because I'm not up to speed with my binary.
So that was something that went around Twitter, and everyone was very impressed at that.
I also just like the fact that the code breaking machine is in the background, and there's all these terms and things of that presumably these are Turing's things. Otherwise, that would be a bit weird.
Well, they're probably him and his team.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Their code breaking team. So I feel. That it's nice. It's a nice thing that's happened.
Yeah, it's definitely a very well deserving person to be acknowledged on the notes.
Yeah.
So that's very nice. We liked that. We had a sort of slightly more confused reaction to the second news story that I was reading actually this evening on the way home. So Elon Musk, he's that fellow who makes electric cars but wants them to drive himself and shoots things into space, but decided to shoot his car into space for some reason. He wants to rocket around underneath LA in a pneumatic coffin. It's all good stuff. Now he's decided that he wants to put a computer in your brain.
Okay.
Yes. So this is the story that Elon Musk and his company Neuralink want to put a tiny computer into the brain. Actually, the computer sits outside the brain, as I understand it. But the revolutionary breakthrough here is they've created this mesh of ultrafine polymer wires that have to be sort of stitched with with a robotic computer guided procedure
God.
to. I know, right? To sort of delicately weave their way across the brain. And the whole point of this is that because the brain is super jelly-like and moves around inside the head all the time, and obviously is, protected by the immune system and all this, the electrodes made of metal implanted in the traditional way, not only do they quickly become coated in cerebral gunk and immune system attack forces and all this sort of thing, and stop working, but they also can get corroded because it's a very salty, liquidy environment. And in some cases, when the brain's shifted a lot, they can actually do damage to the tissue because they're a solid piece of metal. So this technology's really, really clever bit is this polymer flexible fine mesh that connects to all sorts of things. And to start off with, they've done research into rodents, as these things usually start with. And controversially, they've actually also, without announcing it, started working with a primate research group. And apparently, so this was the bizarre thing. So the conference was called. I'm going to give some context here. So they called a conference. They announced it at the California Academy of Science on Twitter about half an hour after the thing was due to start.
Yeah.
And started late. And Elon Musk gives this talk about how for like 2 hours about this state of the art tool, how it's going to help people, who've got sensory disabilities or mobility issues or this sort of thing, which all sounds really good and noble causes. Then he sort of keeps going on and slowly starts talking about the fact that they've already managed to make a monkey control a computer with his thoughts, which apparently, like, even the aides and the other people in the company who were on stage or in the audience were surprised about, because they didn't think that they were actually announcing that there. So yeah, Elon Musk has gone on to say that he wants to use this to let people control devices with their minds. They want to be able to. He thinks that there's going to be a benign artificial intelligence that is going to outpace us, and therefore we become sort of second class to this army of robots. Which, okay, great. So apparently, this neural link is going to allow us to interface with these super smart AI, and will allow us to interface with them and keep pace with them and that sort of thing. And then it all gets a bit sci-fi to the point where he's also decided that eventually it will allow us to have high bandwidth telepathy.
Woo! Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
As long as I get the option to turn that bit off.
Well, this is it. So, what do you think about either what you think about his particular announcement, or what do you think about the idea of putting a brain in a chip in your brain?
That's the sound of having that procedure done sounds terrifying.
That is true. It definitely does.
Because, as brilliant as brains are, they're extremely sensitive to stuff happening to them. And, I don't know if I could put myself through that.
No. I mean, what do you think if it was actually able to do the things it promised and cure?
We've had this conversation before.
We have, but this time it actually looks like there's some realization in it.
Yeah, and that's also kind of terrifying because it's oh dear, here we go. This is where we get quite deep in the whole, is this eugenics? I think if it would help things that I have wrong with my body, I would put myself through that, but I would also feel a bit weird almost getting rid of something that's a huge part of my life. But yeah, it's a very complex subject, and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
I think as a tool for repairing people and helping them have better lives, I'm all for it. But I think
as long as it's with full consent, because otherwise that's otherwise that's going into a whole ethical problem.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, that would it would have to be something that an elective procedure. But it's when it starts to become a vanity project, like, oh, I want my brain to connect to the internet, or later in the article they talk about, you'll be able to type 40 words a minute by thinking them. And I'm thinking, well, then all sorts of things can go wrong. Like, we both work in IT, we both know the amount of the sheer myriad of things that can go hopelessly and horribly wrong with computers quite easily and quite accidentally.
Yeah.
And to have one of those in your head, it's suddenly...
I'm waiting for the whole, you're going to have to download this firewall technology to stop intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
It gets very Black Mirror-y very quickly.
The interesting thing is the tone of Musk's speech. So quite early on, he says, all this will occur, I think, quite slowly. It's not as if Neuralink will suddenly have the incredible neural lace and take over people's brains. It will take a long time. So did he just say it's definitely going to take over people's brains?
We're going to take over your brain, but we're giving you this announcement now, so in 20 years' time, when your brain has been taken over, you can't say that we didn't warn you. So
it's
very different. Oh dear, that's.
He goes on to say, even in a benign AI scenario, we will be left behind. With a high bandwidth brain-machine interface, we can actually go along for the ride. We can have the option of merging with AI.
I don't know if I want to.
No, that's not something to aim for.
Merging with AI is terrifying.
I mean, electric cars, yes, aim for those. Merging with
driving with my brain, different.
But merging my brain with an alien human intelligence, not so much.
If it was like, you can control your car with just your brain, okay, and then there's a difference between you can, what's the word we're going to use, interface. You can interface with your car. I don't know if I want to be a car.
No.
I'm not 100% sure about that.
So going back to the actual testing and doing, Musk said, we hope to have aspirationally we hope to have this aspirationally in a human patient by the end of next year. Apparently they currently have it in 19 rats, and they have an 87% success rate of inserting the thing.
Okay,
not it working, just actually.
So that one rat,
that one rat that they scrambled the brains of, that's a bit, yes.
It got very. It was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a great thing. This could change people's lives. Oh, we've got a monkey controlling a computer. What?
Yes. Has anyone asked what the monkey thinks it's doing when it's controlling a computer, and what it thought it was doing when you were? I
am really worried that Elon Musk is going down the road of villain,
mad scientist. Yeah.
No, he's beyond that. He already is at that point. I mean, he shot his own car into space. Like, you know. Yeah.
Especially as like, a lot of people have described his work-life balance is very odd. His work-sleep balance is very bad for your health. He's quite often sending ridiculous statements out by Twitter at like 3 a.m. and that sort of thing.
Because he's sleep deprived.
I mean, I know genius and eccentric go hand in hand, but I'm not entirely sure it's the safest pair of hands I'd want putting chips in my head. And someone else actually, I say someone else, it was author Charles Stross, said the average time till end of life of most consumer electronics, say mobile phones, for example, is 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
The iPhone is up there with 5 years supported lifetime. But this chip that was going into your head, it would have to be
removed and then upgraded.
Well, either that or it'd have to be good for a full 120 year lifespan.
Oh God, this is.
it's when you think about it, that's not the way that the market works. That's not the way that consumer electronics work. Which then you're like, so if you want this, does it have to be a publicly funded thing? Is it like a government funded thing? And then you're like, well, we want a government funded chip in our heads?
I mean, are you going to go on to Neuralink.com and watch the live stream at some point?
Probably not.
Okay.
But I think the article that we are looking at is in Wired magazine. We'll link it in the show notes. And it's a very fair take on the news. I think
it's been a weird and wacky science week.
It has, and this is probably up there for the wackiest. But you can always count on Elon Musk for that. So
yeah, indeed,
there we go.
Indeed.
I now like the idea of a high bandwidth brain. I don't have a high bandwidth brain, but I like the idea that I could one day.
Yeah.
So
I'll have to have some more thoughts on that, and I'll have to get back to you on that.
Interestingly, something I didn't know, which came out of this article, is that DARPA, the US Science Defense Division, have been funding computer-brain interface work since the 1970s.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, so those things we've been seeing on TV have some truth in them.
Yeah, and apparently the agency that conducts this research is the Brain Research Through Advanced Innovative Neurotechnologies, which means that the acronym for the Brain Lab is literally BRAIN.
You came up with that.
Someone had a lot of fun with that. Yes. So there you go, folks. What do you think? Would you want Mr. Musk to put a chip in your head? Answers on a postcard. No, not on a postcard. Answers on Twitter, I think.
Yeah.
We'd love to get your thoughts on this and your opinions on the person themselves that's developing the technology, and also on the ethics of putting a chip in a monkey's brain and making him think at a computer.
I think the episode, this one's got to be called Elon Musk Did What? Not clickbait.
Not clickbait at all.
Yeah.
So there you go. There was an honourable mention this week.
Yeah, I put a link, almost like I did mention it in last week's show. That I left a thing, and I wanted to know what your reaction to it was, if you haven't seen it yet.
I had already seen it, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I love the way they put themselves in the traps before the thing starts.
So, to give you some context of this, there was a lot of people dressed in those silly T-Rex costumes that lollop on a stick a bit, running down a track. And it's
a horse racing track.
A horse racing track, and it's absolutely hilarious, some of the stills you get out of this.
It is.
And if you want something that will make you laugh in under a minute, give this a go. The bit that got me was when they were walking around the back of the traps in a line, just like, oh god, okay, here we go.
This was the most normal thing to do, yes.
Yeah.
So, the link to that is in the show notes. The show notes and the show itself can be found at thegeekcard.podbean.com. We can be found on Twitter if you want to let us know your thoughts on the topics of this week or any previous shows, at TGC Show on Twitter. You can listen to us on Thursday, not live, but in advance on vognetwork.com/the-geek-card. That's the Voice of Geeks network, where you can find all sorts of amazing shows, including our sister show, Girls Gone Wow. If you want to raid with us on Wednesday nights, you can. You can find details of their Discord group and the Girls Gone Wow community raids that happen on EU servers on Wednesday nights from 8 o'clock. If you head to girlsgonewow.net/Discord, you can join us there. We're a super friendly, super casual raid group that is quite amazingly making progress on current content.
You have to emphasis on the super casual, but also emphasis on the we're doing current here.
Yes, exactly. That will just about do it for us this week. As we said, we will hope to have a longer form show for you in weeks to come. But for now, I have been at RZBG on the Twitters.
And I have been at Robbie_Glow on the Twitters.
And there we go. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Bye.
You've been listening to The Geek Card with your hosts, Razerbug and Robbie Glow. You can find The Geek Card wherever fine podcasts are found and on the web at thegeekcard.podbean.com. The Geek Card is a proud member of the Voice of Geeks network, where you can find other amazing podcasts like Orange Lounge Radio, Starboard Power Coupling, and Girls Gone WoW. Find out more at www.vognetwork.com.